Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to crack open a truly diabolical playbook, one written by none other than C.S. Lewis in his absolute classic, The Screwtape Letters.
You know, right from the get-go, in the preface, Lewis just sets the stage perfectly. He's basically asking us to take this whole idea, a demon's advice column, right? Seriously, but not as some kind of horror story. No, he wants us to see it for what it is, a seriously sharp tool for satire and, a deep dive into human psychology.
So, what is this book? Well, the whole thing is basically a collection of letters. You've got this senior demon writing to his nephew, a junior tempter, kind of mentoring him on the subtle, really insidious art of how to corrupt a human soul, or, as they call their target, the patient. And what's so great about this setup is that we get this incredible fly-in-the-wall perspective. We're listening in as the super experienced, almost bureaucratic, and just completely cynical Uncle Screwtape guides his bumbling nephew Wormwood on, the very delicate business of damnation. All right, so let's dive into this thing. We're going to break down Screwtape's playbook into 4 core strategies he lays out for leading us humans astray. This is the good stuff, right from the letters themselves. So, strategy number 1. This is Screwtape's most fundamental piece of advice, and honestly, it's surprisingly simple. He says, forget all the grand philosophical arguments. No. Your primary weapon is the mundane, everyday world around us. And what's really fascinating here is Screwtape's advice to completely avoid intellectual debate. Why would he say that? Well, it's because arguing risks waking up the patient's reason, and if that happens, all bets are off. See, it's so much easier to just make an idea feel strong or courageous than to actually have to prove it's true. And this right here, this is that strategy in action. The whole goal is to make the concrete world, the buses, the newspapers, the noise, feel so overwhelmingly real that anything spiritual or philosophical just seems like some kind of distant, hazy fantasy. The key is just to keep them focused on that constant stream of what they can see and touch right now. Okay, so let's move on to the next strategy, because you can really see how this stuff builds on itself. This one is all about taking the very things that are meant to be good, relationships, noble causes, and just corrupting them from the inside out. And Screwtape, he outlines this simple, but man, is it a devastating process. You take a good thing, could be anything, patriotism, pacifism, you name it, and you just slowly twist it. The end goal? Get the person to a point where their faith isn't the point anymore. Nope, now it's just a tool, a means to an end, a weapon for their own agenda. And this doesn't just happen on a grand scale. This strategy applies on a micro level too. I'm talking right at the family breakfast table. Screwtape literally advises turning prayer into a way of criticizing someone, exploiting every tiny annoying habit to create these daily pinpricks of mutual annoyance. And the goal is to just let those tiny, seemingly harmless irritations build up and up until they become a fortress of resentment.
So you've got the external world and relationships under attack. So where does the battle go next? Well, it moves inward, into the realm of thought and prayer. And this is where the really subtle deceptions start to happen.
Now here's the kicker. Screwtape's main tactic isn't to stop the person from praying. Oh no, not at all. The trick is to misdirect the prayer's intention completely, to make it an act of looking inward at yourself instead of an act of connection with something outside yourself.
So what does that look like? Well, it means that instead of asking for courage, the person is tricked into trying to feel brave. Instead of asking for forgiveness, they're tricked into trying to feel forgiven. You see the difference? Prayer becomes a kind of performance for an audience of one, yourself.
And this all ties into what Screwtape calls the law of undulation. He explains that humans are kind of like amphibians, part spirit, part animal. And because of that, our lives have this natural rhythm, these peaks and troughs. He warns Wormwood that the low moments, those periods of spiritual dryness, aren't failures, not at all. They're just a natural part of being human. But it's in those exact moments that a person is the most vulnerable.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. This is Screwtape's grand strategy, really the culmination of all his advice. And I gotta say, it's the most chilling and maybe the most relevant insight in the entire book. So, what is it? What's the ultimate advice? It's this. Avoid spectacular wickedness. Yeah, you heard that right. The crucial point here is that big, dramatic sins, they're often counterproductive for a tempter. Why? Because a murder or some huge betrayal forces a person to wake up, to confront their choices, and that can lead to repentance.
The real work, the most effective work, is done in the small things.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? This really is the core thesis of the entire book. The real danger isn't some sudden, dramatic fall from grace. No, it's the slow, imperceptible, and honestly comfortable drift into darkness.
And that road, that gentle slope, it's not paved with some big, evil malice. It's paved with apathy. It's made up of thousands of seemingly tiny, trivial decisions. Procrastination, a little bit of vanity, wasted hours just doing nothing. And all of those little things add up. And cumulatively, they lead a person far, far away from where they ever intended to go.
And I think that's the enduring power of this book. It forces us to look away from all the grand drama and ask ourselves a much more personal question, a much more uncomfortable question maybe. Where's the gentle slope in our own lives? What small, gradual paths might we be walking on right now without any signposts there to warn us?